Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good morning. Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right. I am John Palacio.
And I'm Marlene Cuellar. And thank you for joining us this morning.
What a lovely Wednesday morning it is, Mark. Looking
Hump
good
day
outside.
already.
Yes, it is already midweek. Oh my gosh. Like flying by just like that, huh?
Well, it is a short week.
It
Definitely
is.
so.
It is indeed. I think that the Easter actually put it on us in terms of making sure that we're at a short week. That's one. Two, folks are still tired, so they're glad for it.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's no more time to shake off the tiredness. You got to just get into it at
gotta
this
just
point,
get into
right?
it, indeed.
And get things started. It is a very busy week. A lot is going on, and we know that as of yesterday, when we had our conversation with the unions, the conversation about salary cuts and increment freeze still ongoing. Cabinet met yesterday. We still haven't gotten much word from them as yet, but we do know that the unions are, they've put forward their position as of the weekend, and we're still waiting to see.
Definitely. And I think that for the most part, everybody's looking forward to what the decisions that will be coming out. I'm hoping sometime soon, because if the back and forth, which is of course healthy, would also put in one's mind like, where are we or what are we doing? But at the same time, decisions must be made, and at this particular point, it seems that they're a little distant away from each other.
Well, you know, that's what negotiations are about, and it's going to be interesting to see how the next few days pan out. The reading of the budget takes place on Friday. So there is a special House meeting that's taking place, so we'll see. You know, yesterday the union said that some of their members had gotten a peek of the first draft, and they are saying, and this is coming from the unions, that the budget that the salary cut is already included in the budget. We haven't gotten official confirmation from that.
Wow.
That's just what's coming from the unions. But we will see what changes within the next few days. And of course, we're going to keep you updated, because this is definitely a hot topic for conversation.
Definitely. And that's just one of the things that were in last night's news. But other things coming out of the news last night, and I paid very keen attention to it, because social media was buzzing with all the traffic accidents that did happen over the weekend, the murders that happened over the weekend. But I'm sure that when it comes to highlighting those, definitely that's one of the things that we pride ourselves in, making sure you are keep informed and updated as to current situations going on across our country.
And COVID-19. We are in a pandemic. We were talking before we came on air about the protocols at some of the hotels. You said that you were staying at one that really had a lot of safety protocols in place in Placencia. I think that's really great to hear.
Definitely. I'm so proud of the fact of them having customers in mind first. Upon arrival there, you had to be wearing a mask. Not everybody is supposed to be in the lobby at the same time. There were temperature checks every day. They were sanitizing every hour on the hour. When you get to your villa or your room, if you're going to traffic that particular hotel, meaning the sidewalks or whatever, you must be wearing a mask. Not more than 10 persons could be in a big pool. Not more than 6 or 7 people in a smaller pool, and you needed to hold your corner. So, you know,
that's really encouraging
it brought
to hear.
forth pride, indeed. Yes.
You know, yesterday we got the numbers. Of course, the last report was last Thursday, so I think it was 22 new cases over the past 5 days, and that takes us to 47 active cases. I know this is a time of heightened surveillance to see what's happening. There were people who were getting together, families perhaps who don't normally see each other were getting together, friends who don't normally see or hang out with each other did spend some time together. So we are hoping for the best.
You're right. The Bellamarers were here. And families got together. And you are right again. We hope that within the next week, 2 weeks, that the numbers continue to be as low as possible. But one of the hope as well, Marlene, is for folks to go on out and get their vaccine in their phase. Within your phase, as long as your phase is called up, then please go on out, get your vaccine, so we could be on the safe side and so things can continue to gradually reopen. One of the dates folks are looking forward to as well is April 15th, as we know that things might either lessen or we might have to go back to some stringent measures. And it all depends on what this weekend panned out.
No, I really think, you know, the idea of giving the extra days after the Easter break to just monitor and make sure there's no spike before making decisions on regulation is one where we have learned from the lessons of the past. We know mass gatherings or events where people come together, those tend to be times when we see a spike. The only thing I think that is different this time around is that we went into the weekend with lower numbers than we've seen before. So it is yet to be seen. But we do want to remind people, as you keep on moving around, remember all the protocols that we're asked to do. Keep on washing those hands. Keep that space. We used to say it's a new normal. It's just normal. You know, someone comes in, someone comes around, and you grab your mask automatically. So it is becoming a part of a regular habit, and we mustn't become complacent about it.
And we want for folks to know that if you come around me and I grab my mask, it's for me to protect you. I'm actually protecting you. And so when you see people do that, then hey, you know, relax a little bit. But again, I just
did you get some faces when you do that?
Faces. You get
or
faces.
Like when people try to hug you and you're like, well, you know,
yes,
we're not there yet.
Some people from a distance say wireless, but I still love you. I just want for you to know.
I'm still smiling behind my mask. I found myself doing that a lot.
Especially when you're taking a picture.
Or like you see someone, you know, and you're smiling and you're like,
hey.
They can see nothing.
But you know, for the most part, people got used to it or are getting used to it. We have no idea what's going to happen within the next year or two. Yes, there are COVID-19 vaccines, but at the same time, who knows? Who knows what the situation is going to be? Just go on out there and protect yourselves as long as you are, and make sure that you get your vaccine when your phase comes up.
Well, we got to get moving into our show for today, and we're going to get some motivation to get you started on this Wednesday morning. And our eye-opener goes like this. Sometimes as adults, we just need a timeout to refocus and gather ourselves before starting out again. Most of us feel a little crazy from time to time. Periods of high stress can make us feel like we're losing it, as can be being surrounded by people whose values are very different from our own. Losing a significant relationship and moving into a new life situation are other events that can cause us to feel off-kilter. Circumstances like these recur in our lives, and they naturally affect our mental stability. For most of us, the key to survival at times like these is to step back, take a deep breath, and regain our composure. Then we can decide what course of action to take. The main purpose of the wake-up call that Feeling Crazy provides is to let us know that something in our lives is out of balance. Confirm for yourself that you are capable of creating a sane and peaceful reality for yourself. Try to remember that most people have felt at one time or another that they are losing it. You deserve a life that helps you thrive. Try and take some steps today to help you achieve more balance and a little less crazy.
And I just had to laugh about it. Sometimes you do, and I think this is something that happens every day. Sometimes you just need to step back a little and just get yourself back into composure. Sometimes it happens, you don't even expect it. And at times you wonder, what am I going to do? But sometimes as adults, we just need a little time out to refocus and gather ourselves before starting again. It's like the artist. You're painting, and sometimes you want to step back and gather yourself so you could continue with your train of thought. It's the same thing as somebody who's a writer. Sometimes you just want to step back and gather your thoughts and continue with your writing. It's very healthy. It is a very, very healthy step to make. As long as you feel that way, a little time can go a long way. I like the eye opener.
Pay attention. I think that's the key fact, you know. I love that it normalizes it, because we all get there. We all get that off-balance feeling. Sometimes things are just so out of whack from your normal that you start to feel feelings of agitation. Sometimes you feel, especially if you trouble with anxiety, you feel anxiety building up. You realize that perhaps some of your behaviors are starting to show that you're off balance. And it's so important that one of the things we keep on learning about ourselves is to be able to recognize those signs and know how to be able to bring ourselves back in focus. And sometimes it is that moment. It is just getting out of the situation momentarily or longer if that's what you need, and being able to take that deep breath. Or, you know, maybe there's something else that may work for you that you need to do to just get yourself back to a calmer place, so you can re-enter back the situation. You can't always run and hide. So it's being able to reset to re-enter. And it's so key, you know. I think that the biggest mistake you can make is not being able to recognize it when it's building.
Funny enough, you mentioned run and hide, because that is actually what some people feel is the answer to a problem, to run and hide. But you fail to realize that it's right there. I believe in the life lesson, or the learning lessons of life, and stepping back give you the ability to focus on what you've learned within a particular situation, and then you apply that method. The main purpose of the wake-up call that Feeling Crazy provides is to let us know that something in our lives is out of balance. It happens, so it's okay. It's okay. Like, really, I really and truly like the eye opener, especially that it focuses on exactly what occurs to everyone on a daily basis.
That's right. So we hope that's helpful for you today.
Definitely. So what do you say we take a look at the weather now, so folks to know exactly what to expect for this week and the remainder of the week. We've got the forecast. All right, so here we go. Catherine Cumberbatch, morning.
Good morning, Jan. Good morning.
We love that chuckle. That's just the way it is. So let's get on into it. The general situation, what can we expect for today?
Oh, okay. For today, Jan and Marlene, we expect an easterly airflow to dominate our weather. And that will be giving us, for the next 24 hours, sunny skies with a few cloudy spells today. And the high temperatures for today, we expect to reach 86 along the coast, 89 inland, and 74 in the hills. As for tonight, the skies will be partly cloudy, and the low temperatures will drop to 76 along coastal areas, 72 inland, and 65 in the higher elevation. As for the shower activity will be isolated over most areas except for the south, where you could expect a few morning showers today. Winds will be coming out of the east at 5 to 15 knots, and the sea state light chalk.
All right.
The outlook for Thursday and Thursday night is again for partly cloudy skies with only isolated showers.
All right. Well, I tell you what, fairly straightforward. No advisories or watches or warnings?
No. We don't have any right now.
All right.
We don't have any weather.
Seems like a regular
any
day.
advisory or warning out right now.
Okay. Seems like a regular old normal day in Belize.
That's right.
All right. And
if you miss the Easter key trip, it's a good time to take one now.
All right.
Well, we still got the work week to finish first.
Okay. Some people are more fortunate than us.
Yes.
And no
All
changes
right,
in the next few days, right?
Pardon me?
No changes in the next few days.
Yeah, the weather will become much more warmer because we have started to have the heat lows that will start to develop over Mexico. And once we have those heat lows, our temperatures get extremely warm. So in a couple of days, we expect the temperatures to become even warmer.
Yeah. Isn't it April where we start to see the high 90s and near 100-degree weather?
Yeah, well, we experienced some of that in March already. And as we go further, we will be seeing those high temperatures.
Okay.
All right. Well, we've been warned.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ms. Cumberbatch.
You're welcome, my dear. Have a great day. And you both stay safe.
Have a good one, yes. Man, I could just imagine the facial expressions out there. I mean, we did it.
Well, I mean, I always remember. Anytime, because then we start to get the hot water, and I would say it's never been this hot before, because it's that adjustment into this time of year.
Yeah.
It usually gets
It
pretty.
does.
It's that hot, muggy, humid, still.
Everything
It sounds like we have so much to look forward to. Right?
Yes. But you're right. It is something that occurs every year. We just have to get used to it, or continue to try to get used to it. But nonetheless, we have a packed show for you this morning. We're looking forward to our conversations as we continue to keep you informed and updated, of course, educated. There will be a rise in poultry. And we'll be having the president, or the manager actually, of the Belize Poultry Association in this morning to discuss what will cause, or what is causing the rise in the chicken, or the meat we love so much, chicken. So they'll be telling us all about that in our first segment.
All right. And the second part of our show, we're going to be joined by representatives of Fabregas Belize. Of course, they are well known for the specialty gases that they do provide, but they have quite a bit more. So we're going to be talking about some of the things that they do have to offer, and how they've been helping in preparedness through this pandemic.
All right. And in our third segment for this morning, there's a front labeling campaign. And you might be wondering what that is. Well, they're saying that it is in an effort to promote healthier eating, which of course is something that we need to look forward to. So that conversation coming up in our third segment as well.
You know, well timed, because today is actually World Health Day.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Well timed indeed. So we're looking forward to all three conversations. We are about to take a break, but just before we do that, we have got one of the extra special birthday. I mean, with all the seasoning on it as well. And that person celebrating birthday is none other than Kenroy Michael, a.k.a. Dreams, our brother right here at Channel 5. Good morning, my brother. Good morning. Happy birthday to you. I'll give the last 2 words to you because you deserve it, bro. Hard worker, coolest cat in the world. All the very best to you. Coming from all of us here at Channel 5, all of us right here on Open Your Eyes, and of course, your entire family. Happy birthday. So we're about to take a break. When we come back, we'll be jumping into that Belize Poultry Association conversation. That's coming up when we come back.
Hello. Okay, sure, I'll be there. Hello?
Hi, Mommy. When are you coming home? I really miss you.
Hearing the voice of our loved ones can always lift our spirits and make us feel whole again. With Smart's twice as nice promotion, prepaid customers who make 5 minutes worth of national calls on Sundays can enjoy 50% off. Top double on all national calls for the rest of the day. Call your loved ones and enjoy half off all day long. Smart, bringing people together.
Hola, Tony.
Hey, Kevin, ¿qué onda? ¿Qué pasa?
Nada, le vine a buscar porque necesito comprar más mercancías de vasos y platos desechables para mi tienda de comestible. Me estoy quedando sin esas cosas.
No, hombre, fíjate que desde el 15 de abril no puedo importar nada de eso. Y se me acaba de terminar todo lo que tenía hace como 3 semanas.
Oye, pero nunca has estado sin esas cosas. ¿Qué está pasando?
Mira esto. Esta es la nueva ley que prohíbe todo el uso de plásticos no reutilizables. Esos son vasos, platos, cucharas, tenedores, todo eso. Desde 15 de abril de este año no he podido importar nada de eso. A partir del 15 de enero del 2021 nadie puede fabricarlo. 15 de abril 2021 nadie lo puede vender. Y a partir del 14 de julio del 2021 si alguien te agarra con eso, te multan.
Híjole, no sabía eso. Necesito cambiar algunas cosas. Les diré a mis clientes por qué esas cosas ya no están disponibles. Gracias, Antonio.
Así es, cuídate.
Pelican, the beer of Belize.
Today's COVID update is brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price but stay for the service.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're now moving into our first segment, and this surrounds the hiking of the price of chicken. Now, in with us, we have the manager of the Belize Poultry Association, Armando Kowo. He's on the screen, of course. Mr. Kowo, good morning, sir.
Morning.
Ah, there we go. We hear you.
Sure.
And how are you today?
I'm fine.
All right. So, you know, when this news broke the other day, it was definitely something eye-opening or eyebrow-raising, and I'll tell you why. There's so many vendors right now. When the pandemic started, the people didn't know what to do or what to resort to. Some folks lost jobs and then eventually moved into making food for a living. And then now we're hearing about the price hike of chicken. Tell us, what is causing this?
All right, before I go into that, let me just say that, for the record, when the pandemic hit, we were all in the same boat. There was no one better off. Not the producer, not the consumer, not the restaurateur, not the everyday worker. Mm-hmm. However, we took our losses last year. There were considerable losses. You might all recall we ended up giving away some of our products to different communities that we identified because we just didn't want to bury it. That's the reality of it. Yeah. Our freezers got full because people stopped buying for a while the pandemic panicked everyone and people started, I guess, saving their money, waiting for the next blow. But at the end of the day, we came afloat. The Belizean consumer supported us. We went into production again and we managed to meet the demands of the market. Yeah. Albeit there was a little shortage for some time.
That's what I wanted to get into, Armando, to kind of set the backdrop for the conversation. The impact of the pandemic, we realized just how connected the different industries are, especially to tourism. And of course, one of the things that happened when there was that total demand drop from the tourism sector is that we saw a lot of producers having excess stock. Let's talk about that loss there first, so we can understand just how much we are consuming locally and how much of that was attributed to the tourism sector.
Yeah. What transpired last year was how should I say it? Phenomena that we didn't expect, not in terms of the pandemic, but in terms of the market response. I mean, traditionally, we have always said, okay, you know, there's the Belizean consumer, there's a tourist who comes and eats at our restaurants and therefore consumes our products. But at the end of the day, when we started looking at depopulating our barns because, okay, the tourism was wiped out, we ran into problems with the Belizean consumer because if you remember, there was a shortage following that. Yeah. And therefore, we had to go back to the drawing board and put production plans in place that will meet that market demand. And we were very grateful that the Belizeans responded positively to the products that we have out there and started consuming it. And you know, we were kind of stumped in the sense that our sales just, you know, started going back up and up and up. And we say, well, what impact does the tourism have? But we realized that Belizeans were consuming the product more, maybe because they were confined at home. I don't know. Maybe because they couldn't go to Cherumal to buy pollo brew. I don't know. We don't have all the factors played out already. But
it's a bit of a guessing game, isn't it?
It's a bit of a guessing game because the market has its own whims and ups and downs.
So you went from excess stock because all of a sudden people weren't buying the same amount of chicken that you projected you were going to have last year around this time.
Exactly.
And then, so we saw some deals, some giveaways, And then you moved into a high demand time where people were buying more than you projected because they weren't traveling, they weren't moving around, and they were cooking at home.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so we met that demand. We met that demand, and we must say we appreciate their appreciation of our products. So we finished 2020 with losses due to the pandemic. I mean, squarely on the pandemic, we ended up with a loss of approximately $20 million to the industry. And this loss is spread across the industry. It's not just one product. I mean, it's not. We need to understand how the industry production cycle moves. I mean, we have the grandparent flocks in Belize that produce the fertile eggs that we use to hatch and put the broilers into the barns. Some countries don't have the grandparent flocks in their country. They buy the fertile eggs every week from the US, and we don't. And that helps us a lot in meeting our demands with the Belizean public. However, we had to depopulate some of the grandparent flocks. We had to depopulate some of our layers. We had to depopulate some of our barns, and you know, the chicken just keeps growing. It won't stop growing. I mean, we can't say, well, okay, the market is not responding this week, so therefore the chicken can be allowed to grow more. So we still had to slaughter. We still had to process. We still had to put them in freezers. And at the end of the day, we ended up giving away a lot of those products. And even the depopulated grandparent flocks were given away live so that people could make their own soup at home, or for whatever other reason they might have wanted it. All of that went out to the public. Now we have a situation here in 2021 where we are faced with a hard question. The issue of the pricing of our raw materials. As you know, animal feed is basically corn and soybean. That's where they get their energy and most of their proteins from. The price of corn is currently at 30 cents per pound. And the price of soybean is currently at 62 cents per pound. Wow. Traditionally, at this time of the year, we are paying anywhere up to like around 26 cents per pound of corn. And 46, sometimes 48 cents per pound soybean. Now, the math is very clear. I mean, we have a 4 cents difference in corn, and we have 12 cents difference per pound in soybean. So we cannot absorb that shock of price right now, currently the way things are, because of our losses last year. So this happens normally every year, but sometimes we absorb the shock that the consumer doesn't even notice.
Well, that was going to be my question. Just looking at the change in costs with the chicken feed, which is the corn and the soybean. When did that happen, and what's the reason behind that? How normal is this as a part of the cycle?
Let me give you an example here.
Yeah.
It's normal for the prices of everything to be cyclical.
That's right.
I mean, even if you look at the world market, prices of corn and soybean, sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, and depending what you're buying, the only stable price is what they would call the spot prices. That's people who are buying on demand and not in the futures, like what the farmer planted right now and will be harvested in September, October. That's already being sold on the futures market. Those values vary, but on the spot market is what is being held in grain silos, and those are being sold at a more stable price. Here we have a situation where we have a same cyclical event in country, and we know that up to a certain point the industry can absorb some of that shock, because our products again goes up and down. I mean, last year we had some of our products being the price went up, then it went down, then it went up a little bit, and then it went down, and finally it stabilized after September. It went way down. In the beginning of the year, we were at 2.44 cents per pound. Similar situation to what we're going into right now. And then at the end of the year, we ended up with an average of 2.32 per pound of whole chicken. Now, if you notice, that's a 12 cents price difference at the beginning and the end of the year. Right now, we're looking at the same scenario where the prices are going up, but we cannot absorb it like last year. The cushion, the economic cushion is not there for us to be able to do anything about it. I mean, we have to face the facts.
Yeah. Is fuel factor?
We had our losses last year. The price that we are giving out to the public right now is strictly reflective of the grain market prices right now.
Okay.
We're not recovering any cents that we lost last year. That loss is a loss, full stop. That doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
We're not carrying that forward. Our farmers took the hit, and that's it.
Yeah. Is fuel factored into this as well?
Sorry?
Fuel.
No, the fuel is not being factored into this. This is what I'm saying. The prices that you are seeing is reflective only of the grain prices that are currently on the market. The 30 cents per pound for corn and the 62 cents for soy. That is the adjustment we are doing to meet that specific cost.
Armando, I think you've outlined very clearly how there typically are fluctuations from time to time. But clearly you've seen the outcry from the public since the announcement has been made that there would be another adjustment. And many of us can assume that that has a lot to do with the economy and where people are financially.
Yeah.
Tell us about the decision-making process within the association to approve the adjustment in this price. What was that like?
It was not an easy decision that we arrived at. I mean, we all know that the situation currently in the country. We're not blind to that. We know that we are not out of the pandemic as yet. We don't know how long this pandemic will last. We really are working with a lot of unknowns and a lot of uncertainty. And that makes our task more difficult. However, like I said, we're trying to accommodate just the increase in the prices of grains. Like your co-host asked earlier, he asked about the fuel. We're not adding in the fuel to this yet. So that's not a factor right now.
Okay.
We are hoping that we can weather this storm together. And we are trying as much as possible where we can assist the general Belizean population by observing some of the added costs that is coming on, and then see how we work with them. It's not that we want to inflict more pain on anyone. It's not that we want to try to recover what has been lost. As I said earlier, that's not a factor here.
Okay.
The factor here is we're strictly talking about the price of grains. And last year, we saw the same scenario. And this year, it's playing out again. At this time of the year, the grain prices go up. Like I said, they would normally be up by up to 26 cents. However, this year it's went up to 30 cents. And that's what is creating this bump in the pricing. We want to assure the public whole that this is just temporary. This is not permanent. This is not something like how should I say it? You will be seeing from now until whenever we feel like. No, it's not like that. We respond to market demands. We respond to market needs. And most of all, we respond to our customers. We have to make sure, and we want everyone to know, that at the end of the day, the price will go down. By how much at this point in time, I cannot say, but we know it will go down. I mean, I'm giving you the example of last year. Last year at this time, we were at around $2.42, 44 cents per pound. And then it went down towards the end of the year. We ended up the year with an average of $2.32. So it went down 12 cents, in the course of 1 year. So again, this is the same scenario. We expect this to be up here for right now. Maybe a couple months from now, it will because history has shown us that we normally go with these prices like maybe 2 3 months, and then after that it goes down, and it keeps going down, it keeps going down until we finish the year at a lower price.
But,
And
Armando, what is causing the hike in prices of grains?
Unfortunately, I can't answer that question. I wish I could, but the grain growers, I'm not even sure if they have an association, but they're the ones driving the prices, and I have really no idea where they are with that. But we do intend to meet with them sometime early next week. I'm trying to get the actors together to let us have a meeting and see what can be done. Yeah. And how maybe we can work better with them in the future.
And for clarity, especially for Belizeans to know, where do we get our grains from?
Our farmers produce the grains in country. We are 100% self-sufficient in the production of corn, and we're at about 80% self-sufficient in the production of soybean. So we do import some soybean, but at the moment, I don't know. I'm not sure if we're using imported soybean at the moment, and maybe that might be the reason why it's at 62 cents. Because as we all know, the cropping cycle in Belize is over. Soybean is normally planted in the country in November.
Okay.
So October, November, so that harvest is already in. And I don't know if they're finishing off the imports before they start releasing the local produce. I have no idea. I cannot speak for them.
Last year, we saw the rise of Belizean consumers, actually, of chicken. We saw that, and this was without tourism being at anywhere in our country. Now we're seeing the trickling back in of tourists. Are we ready for this hike in tourism?
Yeah, the production capacity is in place to meet the demands of both the Belizean consumer and the trickling in of tourists, as you said. For you guys to understand a little bit better how we work, we have freezing capacity at our processing plants that carry forward 500,000 pounds. It's about, amongst all of them, it's like 1 million pounds of chicken is in the freezers as a reserve at any point in time.
1 million pounds of chicken.
So
that's right.
Yeah, and what you're trying to, I think, to illustrate is that there is sufficient stock for the local market, as well as, because one of the things we don't know, and there are many things we still don't know in this pandemic, is what the rebound for tourism is going to look like. Yeah. You know, we're all optimistic that it's going to happen, and there are projections being made, but we don't really know for sure. So the market is prepared for that.
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, we're trying to iron out the uncertainties to a certain point in the market. We are trying to understand where the next flow of demand will come from.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get a grip on that, and it's the only way we can move forward together. Because, I mean, if we don't sell the produce, then there will be more losses.
Yeah.
And therefore, we cannot sustain much more losses. I mean, we're trying to measure the production to the pace where the consumer is taking us.
Well, we know Belizeans have a taste for chicken. That we're sure of.
Yes.
And we know that it's probably the most sought after protein when people go to the supermarkets, and they're concerned of what the cost will be now. Bring me back to another issue here. So the Poultry Association has made the decision. Are all individual producers following through with the same price adjustment?
Sorry, I was interrupted by...
I'm saying the Poultry Association, you represent the association. Have all the producers decided that they will follow through with the same price adjustment?
Okay. They will be making adjustments, yes.
Okay.
All right. That they might not make the adjustment that is on the table being recommended is something for them to decide. I mean, we cannot fix, as an association, we cannot fix the price of chicken. That's is not in our vocabulary.
No.
So if the producer A and producer B decide not to increase and they will observe the price for now, that's fine. If producer C and producer D decide that they will go with the price increase because of, they cannot observe it, they don't have the reserves to observe it, then that's fine. But we cannot say everyone will sell the chicken for, let's say, for example, $2 a pound.
Yeah.
And
Right? So you will see differences in the market. So if someone is selling at, for example, 240, the other one is selling at 238, or the other one is selling at 235, you will see that difference. That difference will still be there.
I mean, because there have been times in the past where individual producers would say they'll absorb it.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there are producers who can absorb and there are producers who cannot absorb.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at what the economists like to call economies of scale, no?
Okay. What about for the export market?
Okay, the export market, as you all know, we're still in the infant stages. We're still crawling there. We're trying to develop the export market. Late last year in December, we managed to get a container load of poultry products into Grenada.
Okay.
And we're still, the jury is still out on Grenada. We still haven't been able to put in another container load so far. For the simple reason that we have our consumers here and we want to satisfy everyone at home before we go out again. Why Grenada? Because at the point in time we were already working. It takes a long process. We had like 2 years working with them trying to get in products in.
Okay.
And some of the excess that was accumulated during the pandemic, we decided to offload that into the export market. But if we develop the export market, then we will target production to meet that specific market.
Yes.
So it's not like we will be taking away chicken from Belizeans and giving it to the Grenadians. No. We can ramp up production by 50% in 6 months, which means that in a year or two, we can double production to meet any export demand that might come our way. So we're quite sure that we can do this. I mean, we have been studying this scenario. We've been following it up. And at the end of the day, this is where we want to go.
Yeah.
We want to go into the export market. The CARICOM region imports a lot of poultry products into the region.
Yeah.
And they are import from extra-regional sources, which means that sources outside of the region. So if we can trade within the region, then it will be a big plus for us. And why Grenada? And it could have been St. Lucia, it could have been Antigua, Barbuda, but the conditions were more ready for us in Grenada. And the population is small. When we targeted those small island countries, it will allow our industry to grow at a pace that is sustainable. Unlike trying to break into a huge market, for example, like Trinidad, where all of a sudden they would demand and say, okay, well, we don't want a container load per month. We want 100,000 container loads per month.
Wow.
Yeah.
We can't meet that demand. We can't meet it. So we will not fool ourselves. So what we are doing is we're going into the smaller markets first and develop the industry.
Yeah.
And after that, we'll be able to expand more at a pace that allows us to grow with the market.
Yeah.
All right, let's bring it back home so people can understand. What are the price adjustments that we're talking about now?
The price adjustment that we're looking at is 6 cents for whole chicken, 16 cents for cuts, and 10 cents for the special chicken, right? Now, the whole chicken is what the Belizean consumer normally buys and takes home.
Yeah.
And which is why the increase there, when we look at the overall increases, we said, well, you know, that's the one that we least want to touch. I mean, we really didn't want to target that product because we know what the effect it will have.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we had to put that 6 cents there to make up because we couldn't take up the rest any further. The 16 cents per cuts, because the cuts is more like a specialty product.
Yeah.
Right? So people will how should I say? The people who use the cuts are people who might be more
They're already paying a
able,
bit more.
More able and have a little bit more income to be able to pay a little bit more.
Yeah.
And whereas the special chicken, well, that's the one that normally goes to the restaurants. And you might say, well, what's the difference between special chicken and regular chicken?
Yeah.
Yes.
The regular chicken that goes to the household goes with all the giblets. That's the feet, the liver, the gizzard. The special chicken doesn't have that. So it's just the whole chicken without the giblets.
Oh.
That's a good.
So basically, it's a restaurant's product.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right? It's more like what the restaurants would buy and then cut up and sell it to you as fried or stewed or whatever other food they might be preparing with it.
Okay.
But the whole chicken that goes into the household, like I repeat and I stress, that's the one we agree that we'll take the least hit in that sense.
Okay.
And that is why we're just adding 6 cents
Okay.
to that. And if you look at the average size of bird, we produce between 3.6 and 4 pounds. And therefore, if you take the biggest bird, 4 pounds, and you times that by 6 cents per pound, that's $2.40 being added to that whole chicken. Yeah. That whole chicken, therefore, will increase by $2.40.
Wow.
So if you're getting it right now, let's say for example that if you're before this price increase, it was being sold for $2.33. We finished last year on an average of $2.32, but up to date it has gone up by 1 cent more. It was selling at $2.33.
Okay.
So therefore, with the added in 6 cents, you'll be getting it for $2.39. So we are still not at last year's prices of $2.40.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So $2.39 will take us maybe and help us offset the price of the grains.
Yeah.
And therefore that's what we're looking at. Now, when you look in context of the overall regional market, the cheapest chicken is found in Belize. If you look at chicken prices over the Caribbean, they're way high. For example, in Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, Guyana, the price of a whole chicken that goes into the regular household normally sells between 10 and 12 US dollars per bird.
What?
Here in Belize, we have it at $6, between $5 and $6 US. So just to give you an idea how our prices differ, because we are not an importing country with regards to all our feed stuff. These countries, they import all their corn, they import all their soybean, and they also import the whole chicks. They don't have the grandfather flocks the way we have it here in Belize. And there is a market for fertile eggs in the Caribbean, and that's something that we have started to look at, because the Caribbean Poultry Association has asked us to look at that segment of the market and see how we can get into that as well.
Okay.
They currently import around $54 million US dollars of fertile eggs into the region from the US and other sources. And they were telling us, if we can get into that and help them with that, then that would be nice.
Is there going to be any change in the prices of eggs?
No, the prices of eggs is looked at a bit differently, because again that's the source of protein for most of our lower income households. So the egg prices are not moving in that direction.
Okay.
Okay. So where we are today with the whole chicken, you're looking at $2.39 a pound. You very clearly stated that last year you started off at about $2.44. So it's not what it was a year ago, but nonetheless, given the economic situation, it feels like a pinch. I think when you think of the entrepreneurs and you think of the people who are in the food industry, as you outlined the fluctuations for a regular household, if they're buying a whole chicken, there is a change in what they'll pay. But if you're buying more chicken, whether you're a barbecue salesman or you have a food business, those are the ones that are probably going to feel this.
Well, yes, and they will have to make a decision as how they will offset the cost. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know if they will increase their barbecue by 25 cents or 10 cents or 5 cents. I don't know, and I don't know if we here in Belize tend to think of increases in terms of dollars.
Yeah.
People don't like to hear about 10 cents increase. I mean, if a product increases by 10 cents on the world market, when it comes to Belize, it's already $1.
Yeah.
Belizeans don't, that entrepreneur spirit of dollars and cents, they only look at the dollar.
Yeah.
And they don't look at the cents. And I mean,
well, the cents add up.
There's nothing
Cents
wrong
add
if you
up,
sell a
indeed.
barbecue, for example, rather than, if you are selling a barbecue, let's say for $7.50,
Yeah.
right? That you sell it, say, for example, $7.60, but people don't think like that. They would think, I carry it to $6.75 or I take it up to
Yeah.
Yeah.
the next dollar.
Yeah.
Right? And that makes a difference for their consumers and how their consumers respond to their products.
Absolutely.
But I cannot price their products and
Yeah.
I cannot even price our products. So what I normally do is just the PR section of the industry.
Yeah.
I will just take forward whatever proposal is being put on the table and they say, look, you need to run with this to the press and have a conversation and let the Belizeans understand that, yes, we feel their pain and we feel we want them to understand that it's not being inflicted on them because we want to. It's not we want to. There's a need to do it.
I hear what you're saying, that you're just the messenger. But I want to just ask, is the association surprised by the outcry that they're getting with this particular hike? Especially when you outline that it's still not at the cost that it was a year ago. Are they surprised?
Yes, we were surprised, and no, we are not surprised because we know that in life you can't satisfy everyone.
Yeah.
There will always be someone who will challenge whatever position is put forward and will have a following because everybody has a constituency. And they will be the ones making the most noise in the market. However, the idea here is to listen to everyone. And yes, we know that this given the economic condition the country is in, there would be some backlash. We are prepared for that.
Yeah.
But we want like I keep repeating, we want people to understand that it's being done because of certain market conditions. It's not being done because we're trying to recover anything or because we're trying to say, okay, let's see how much we can squeeze out of the Belizean consumer. That's not the point here. The point is we need to offset those costs. And as painful as they are, even for us as producers, as painful as it is, that's the reality on the ground, and we can't do much about it.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, if you are a bakery and the price of flour today is $1 and tomorrow it's $1.50, what you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have already given Belizeans some assurance that this cost will not be permanent. That it's only a
No, it's
temporary.
not permanent.
Yeah.
It's not.
So based
It's
on
not
your
permanent. It's cyclical.
experience,
It's cyclical. It goes in cycles.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that the regular consumer who buys chicken for their Sunday dinner, so they would see they would see and they can relate to the fluctuation because they will say, oh yes, boy, I remember last year I paid so much for chicken and all.
Yeah.
They remember. So they know that we are not into price gouging. They know that we are not trying to pull a fast one on them. They know and they understand.
Yeah. And based on your experience, this particular hike, how long do you think it'll last? 2 months?
That's what my data is showing me. That
Okay.
for the past years, when I was looking at the data, yeah, it was like a cycle of 2 months.
Okay.
Longest 3 months.
Okay.
That the prices go back down and everyone is happier. Can't say happy, right? Happier.
Okay.
And as you said, it is still, while this is the recommendation coming up from the association, individual producers will make a choice as to
yes,
how
the
they
individual
will implement.
companies can still make a choice. I mean, if they feel like they don't want to follow the recommendation of 6 cents, maybe they might want to just stuck on 2 cents. I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
Their board will decide.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Armando Coa, manager, the Belize Poultry Association. Sir, thank you so very much for providing us with clarity as to what to expect, the current situation now, and what to expect going forward. Thank you.
Thank you too, sir.
All right.
We're about to take a break. When we come back, we'll be chit-chatting with reps from Fabregas Belize. Now, what do? They'll tell us when we come back.
This COVID update was brought to you by Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service. Working off-site doesn't mean you have to be off your game. Studies have shown that simply adding a keyboard and mouse to your laptop increases productivity by 26%. Add a monitor and you'll be 35% more productive. At Fulltech Systems, we have what you need to enhance your remote work or e-learning experience. With devices such as headsets, video conferencing monitors, webcams, keyboards, mice, docking stations, all with the brands you trust. Keep connected with collaboration tools like Microsoft 365 Suite and Kaspersky and perform efficiently no matter where you are. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
In these challenging times, the one thing that is certain is that the Belize Bank Limited is here for you. There is nothing more important than your health and safety, and we continue to make every effort to make banking safer for you. Our staff is working around the clock to make sure you can do your banking conveniently 24/7 using our mobile banking app and online banking and keeping ATMs up and running. We value your relationship with us and are here to provide the support you need. First responders are also out there 24/7. Thank you, healthcare workers, security forces, firefighters, caregivers. You are all appreciated. Stay safe. We will get through this together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
Research on the impact of COVID-19 infection on pregnant women is limited. Right now, pregnant women are at higher risk of severe illness than the general population. Pregnancy can affect the way a woman's body handles respiratory infections. If you are pregnant, protect yourself against COVID-19. Wash hands frequently using soap and water for at least 40 seconds. Use alcohol-based hand sanitizer if soap and water are not available. Cover cough or sneeze with tissue and throw used tissue in a bin. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces such as doorknobs, counters, phones, and tablets. Practice physical distancing. Work from home if possible. Avoid contact with anyone who has fever, cough, and cold or flu-like symptoms. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth without first washing your hands with soap and water. If you have fever, cough, and feel extra tired, call 0800 MOH-CARE. Help keep Belize safe.
And we'll be back in a few, so stay tuned. Thanks, Jen. Hey there, we know you have to head out to work shortly, but don't forget that you can stay tuned by watching us on our Facebook live stream. Find us at Open Your Eyes BC, and you can continue watching there. You can also download Facebook Watch on your streaming device, and you can watch at your own convenience.
And for all the behind-the-scenes fun, follow us on Instagram at OYE Belize. So,
find us
and follow us
today.
When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Channel 5 introduces the Daily Obituaries. The Daily Obituaries will broadcast all death and funeral announcements and memorials to honor your loved one's life and memories. The Daily Obituaries airs on Channel 5 prior to the evening newscast, with subsequent repeats at 10 p.m. and 12 noon the following day. It will also be placed online on our social media platforms, all for a standard package fee. Celebrate their lives and memories with Channel 5's Daily Obituaries. Honor in life and reverence in death.
And welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're moving now into our second segment, and as you can see, we've got folks in with us. As a matter of fact, they're representing Fabregas, and we'd like to know exactly what they do. Now, in to tell us more about that, we have Justin Sabito. He is actually the plant manager at Fabregas Belize, and of course, no stranger, Glenn Ford Baptist, Special Projects Coordinator there at Fabregas. Guys, good morning, and welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's nice to have you guys in. I mean, like, you know.
Well, it's nice to be in after everyone has been doing Zoom meetings for the past year or more.
Yeah, we're still trying to get used to it.
Exactly.
So let's get to the conversation. Now we hear of Fabregas. We see the vehicles, we see the tanks, but a lot of people might not understand the work that Fabregas does within the country. Let's talk about that. What is Fabregas and what do you do?
Okay, we are primarily a compressed gas company, meaning that our primary products are derived from air gases, as oxygen, argon, nitrogen, and some mixes. And one of the main things that we do is supply oxygen to the country.
Oh.
And especially in these times of the pandemic of COVID, the medical oxygen is of utmost importance. You know, it is the drug that basically keeps people alive when they get into the ICUs, when they get into ventilators, when they get onto the ventilators or
oxygen therapy,
oxygen therapy.
Yeah. Which is such a critical time. In fact, I'm remembering that the conversation we had early on in the pandemic was one of the things that you outlined the preparations that you made to ensure that there would be sufficient supply? We had no idea what was going to come, but you were proactive about that. Talk about that move that you made back then.
Well, what we did was actually just a few months pre-COVID, we had an incident at the border where the border was closed for a day, I think, or several hours. That's the western border where we import our oxygen through, and we decided, you know what, we need to increase capacity. And if you remember, also late last year, those massive hurricanes hit down south, just south of us. And so we decided, you know what, it's time for us to increase our storage capacity because of any of these crises that may arise. And so we did so without even thinking about COVID, you know. And then COVID comes along, and so we landed in the perfect position with storage. So,
but
there's also been some integration of technology as well that helps you to monitor.
There has been, you know, all along we had been taking care of the country's consolidated oxygen needs with a 6,000-gallon cryogenic storage tank. We invested in an 11,000-gallon tank. So we basically tripled our storage capacity. So that resulted in us having over 300 times
the amount desired?
The capacity needed to run the country. And so that was excellent when COVID came in, because there was this massive spike in October, November, and December of medical oxygen consumption.
And Fabregas was ready for that.
And so at the height of the spike, and including the industrial oxygen consumption, that's why I said the consolidated needs of the country, we had 300% more. So the oxygen capacity to service the entire country covered.
Excellent. So I want to go now to Glenn Ford. It says special projects. And before we get into special projects, I'd like to know, with Fabregas, how long have Fabregas been in existence in Belize? And then we jump on to special projects as to what you guys are doing.
All right. We started operations in 1998. That's when our doors opened officially. Back then, we were Messer Belize Limited. All right, and we evolved to Fabregas, you know, over a few years later on, right?
Okay. So with respect to special projects, what are some of the projects that you guys are hands-on with?
Well, Justin shared that we are primarily a medical and industrial gas supply company, but there is much more to that, right? We are very big when it comes to fire technology, fire equipment, training. We do a lot when it comes to keeping on top of welding technology. Right? We are very big into safety. We supplied the country with most of the respiratory therapy equipment that is required, right? That sort of complements, you know, our medical oxygen product line.
Yes.
To better appreciate special projects, when Fabregas started, one of the pillars of our business was technology. Right? Embracing technology meant that we can offer a much improved product we can provide greater efficiency. We can also lower costs.
Oh, wow.
All right. So one of the first areas that we embarked on was the upgrading of medical gas distribution systems at all of the primary hospitals in this country, both public and private. And what special projects did was provided turnkey installations, meaning that we work along the architects, the engineers of the various institutions, right? We ensure that the systems are built according to specifications. And like I said, we do turnkey installations, all right? And I do those projects.
We are not just we're not just suppliers. We are actually partners. It's actually a partnership. So when a company or a hospital decides that they need to use our products and we start to supply them, we are actually more than a supplier. We're a partner. So like the hospitals, for instance, like Glenford had mentioned, we came in and we met just the most basic method of administering oxygen, which were cylinders at bedsides.
A tank next to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's you know, it's all based on consumption.
Yeah.
And so what we did is that we made some calculation. We did some calculations, and we knew it was time to upgrade. And so we did at the Carl Huchner, for example, a cryogenic tank installation, where we feed most of the hospital through piping. The oxygen is fed through piping to the bedsides.
Which is why you can get your lines connected right at the
right.
bed.
You stick the end of the end of the tube, the mass into the wall unit, and you have oxygen.
Automatically.
So you know, that's a solution. Those upgrades we have done at our expense. We recognized the need for it, and you know, that first upgrade was some $300,000 to install that first cryogenic tank. That first cryogenic tank was in 2004, I think.
Wow. I wanted to bring it back to another issue. You said, you know, it's a partnership where you work along with medical healthcare providers. One of the things early in the pandemic is, you know, in the fear that people felt, they wanted to purchase their own oxygen because they felt like it was going to be necessary. We saw that in other parts of the world. Did you get that type of demand from individual households?
We definitely did. We definitely did, and you know, it was a challenge for us to explain to people, you know what, you can't just come to purchase oxygen just for purchasing its sake, just for having it, just in case. You actually need a prescription from a doctor for it. Because it's a drug, it can be harmful. People come and even outside of the pandemic, oh, they want a cylinder of oxygen, and then they ask, you know, how much do they need and what frequency, and we're not the doctor, so we insist that they get a prescription from a doctor detailing
what they need,
their flows and their frequencies, so we can size the cylinder and we can actually show them how to connect the flow meters and to set the flows and all of that good stuff. But it goes a little beyond that, because there are even FDA documents recommending the that people don't do that. That patients get the prescriptions from doctors, because what you can actually do is starve yourself of oxygen if you don't set the right flow.
Correct flow.
So you can actually be doing yourself you can be harming yourself instead of helping yourself with that same oxygen if you're starving yourself of oxygen, you know, for example.
So 100% oxygen is harmful. If the 100, okay, from the cylinder, because that's what is sold in the cylinder.
Yes, okay. Let me explain this to you, because this has come up on social media, on our Facebook page.
Please do.
Where a person was saying, you know, only in Belize you need a prescription, and we should just be able to run out and get an oxygen concentrator and one of the oximeters for your finger and blah blah blah, right? And that's completely off track. That's reckless. That's completely dangerous.
Okay.
So the body in the U.S. that determines purity levels of oxygen is the USP, United States Pharmacopoeia.
Okay.
So for medical grade oxygen, you need 99.0% purity.
Okay.
Anything below 99.0 is considered oxygen 93. That's the designation, oxygen 93. For it to be oxygen, medical grade oxygen, it needs to be 99.0% pure. Our average minimum purity is 99.5%. This is because of the process that our oxygen is derived from, which is air liquefaction.
Okay.
This is the only process that can deliver medical grade oxygen. So there are all these talks about concentrators and generators. These are not adequate because they can't sustain life. They cannot be used, you know. In Nicaragua, I think there was a hospital that had a generator, an oxygen generator, and it turned into a disaster because you just can't get the purity. And that was a disaster. So those generators, they're used for places where you can't really, there's no access to liquid oxygen, to oxygen derived from the air liquefaction process. So the concentrators and generators are not adequate. They don't support life. You can't use them in ICUs, in COVID ICUs, in operating theaters, in delivery rooms, and
it is important for people to know that all these safety mechanisms are in place and the protocols are in place, because while yes, we think of oxygen and we breathe it when we step outside, this is different. And there has to be a responsible way of ensuring that people who get it need it and are using it responsibly.
Yeah, we have every truckload of liquid oxygen that arrives in Belize, arrives at our facility, comes with its certificate of analysis to determine its purity. Also, every cylinder that is filled is analyzed. So we actually have an oxygen analyzer at our plant, and that oxygen analyzer analyzes the oxygen coming out of our cryogenic vessel, going into our high pressure cylinders. So one of the essential things here is purity. If you don't have the purity, then patients start to run into crisis. We actually are giving.
And when people need oxygen therapy, I mean, this is critical. They need it to be able to survive.
Actually, I think 2 weeks ago we had a doctor come in and he brought us an oxygen concentrator, and he said, "Listen, I put this on my patient, and my patient went into crisis."
Wow.
And so, you know, the patient, you just don't get the purity that you need out of concentrators and generators. That's I mean, that's.
So while
that's established. Yes.
While we spent quite a bit of time talking about the oxygen that you do supply, I think Glenford, you mentioned that there are other things that Fabregas is well known for, and I got to get into it. We were joking that maybe the last appearance was the time when we did the fire extinguisher demonstration was something I can't forget. But this is a crucial part of your work. Not only do you have them for sale, you also do assessments and teach people how to use them.
That's correct.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Okay, well, our fire safety product line, you know, includes hand portable units, right? It includes automated units, right? Suppression systems. If for example, if you are building a restaurant, or it's becoming very commonplace now in Belize where some local business owner, hotelier, restaurant owner, wants to establish a franchise with some U.S. entity, right? A Marriott, for argument's sake, right? Part of the requirement is that your establishment must have certain things in place, and one of them being a fire suppression systems. So what we do is we would go into the facility, we would assess, you know, the kitchen area, the hood that is there to be installed or that is already installed, and we pretty much, again, we do turnkey systems. We go in, we design, we install, right, and we commission, right, fire suppression systems. We do that for restaurants, we do that for workplaces. I will say that the workplace is not as active as restaurants. We used to be very active in the marine industry. Once again, where we supply and we install these suppression systems, automated suppression systems. Now, these suppression systems would always have a manual override, so you don't necessarily have to wait until the automatic system kicks in. If you recognize there's a fire hazard, you know, you can activate it manually right away. Right? So we do a lot in the area of fire. Right? Again, you know, for us, it was important that we can contribute meaningfully to the development of this country, right? And again, you know, we look for advanced technologies whereby, as investor confidence grow, you know, part of the confidence has to do with actually being able to source some of these essential services.
Some of these safety practices are things that are very well established in other countries. What have you found in Belize? Is there a growing interest? Are people getting extinguishers for their homes or their businesses? I mean, some places will always require it, but others...
Yes, that's a very good question. Before I answer that, I'd just like to mention that we have in the fire line, we don't come and make recommendations just off the top of our heads. Every 3 years we get recertified in the NFPA 10, which is the code for handheld fire extinguishers for installation and recharges. Also in the NFPA 17A, which is the code for kitchens. Also, we do every 3 years, we also do our recertification in the trainer, which gives us the qualifications to go and to offer the basic fire safety training that we spoke about a little earlier. We have found, to answer your question, yes, that more and more people and more businesses are taking it upon themselves to equip themselves with fire safety equipment. There are some laws in place which they're forced to comply with, but more and more people are going above and beyond and taking the additional precautions to protect their businesses and their homes.
I think that's a great. I think that's a great. That's a great spot to be in terms of teaching a family or a household how to use a fire extinguisher and whatnot. And following a use of a fire extinguisher, are you guys able to refill that, or that's it?
We do refills. We do assessments. We do installations. We do refills. We do training. So we offer the complete package when it comes to fire safety. And you know, that's what we try to do with all of our products. So in the welding field, let's say the products that we sell, these are all industry leading products. We have done extensive training outside of the country. So we have AWS, American Welding Society certification. So we can qualify to we can actually qualify welders in Belize to various codes. We have done some of this work before. We're hoping to do more. With our facility, we have our retest facility. We handle thousands of high pressure cylinders. All of these need maintenance and these need testing. And so we certified our maintenance workshop with the USDOT. So they come in and they do audit. So we're certified to do cylinder requalification, which means testing the hydrostatic tests. So in the various areas, in our various business areas, we go and we don't just sell the products, but we try to become experts, and we try to give that much service, that much after sales service.
All right. And anything else? Tell me, Glenn.
No, I was merely...
I know you also moved into providing masks as well in the pandemic. You had that added to your list of items.
Masks and sanitization products. But what earlier you asked about technology, and I'd like to mention that what we did is we have installed digital meters at the Carl Huchner Memorial Hospital and at the various hospitals that we supply liquid oxygen to. And these digital meters, we are able to connect to them through telemetry. So we have a web portal that we share with designated people from the hospitals, so we can actually check liquid levels off of our phones anywhere we are, or off of our laptops, and we have shared this feature with personnel from the various hospitals. So that is one.
So you can always monitor.
So that is one great technological feature that we have introduced.
All right. And Glenn?
Yes, I do want to add something as it relates to fire safety. I believe you've heard the news lately. You know, we've had some major fire incidences, right? You know, it's kind of like, I wouldn't really want to say human nature, but we have the tendency to make substantial investments in properties, right? But the type of interest that we place into safeguarding that investment, you know, doesn't come with the same zeal. All right. There are many times when we don't really carry the proper insurances, and you know, we really have ourselves exposed. The risk of fire is there. Now, there's a very simple but effective early warning system, right? That every household can afford, and it's a smoke detector, right? It's a small device. It probably costs about $30, something like that, right? It's battery operated, right? You simply put it, you know, near your room, right? Try to avoid putting it in your kitchen.
In your kitchen,
because you will get what we refer to.
Because some of us, when we cook, there's always some smoke, right?
We refer to it as a nuisance alarm, right? And it's going to annoy you, and eventually you're going to remove the battery, and then you know, you're back to square one. Right? But I really would like to encourage you.
So it's only $30, $40. Okay.
All right. Now that's
and
an
it's
early
regular
warning.
batteries that you can get.
Yes.
Okay.
There are early warning systems. Now certainly, it's always best if you can attack a fire in its incipient phase when it's just starting. Right. So. The smallest extinguisher we carry, for argument's sake, would be a 2.5 pounder, right? That's going to run you $70.
$2.
Right? But what I'm getting at, you have a $50,000 home, you got a $120,000 home, right? You got a $250,000 home, right? You walk in there, and there's nothing for fire protection.
Yeah.
Right?
For just $100 more, you could get a smoke
get a-
alarm and a
yes.
small fire extinguisher.
Right. You know, and I mean, it makes a world of a difference.
Yeah.
Right? When you can protect your property.
Yeah.
Right? We need to put a little bit more attention into our properties because imagine you can prevent losing your entire home.
Yeah.
Right?
And finally, to find out more about Fabregas and to find out the various costs of various items, where can we go?
We have 2 locations. We're located at mile 2 3/4 George Price Highway. We can be contacted at 222-5327.
Okay.
You can check us out on Facebook. And for our customers out west and people from down south that like to go to the Spanish Lookout area to make their purchases, we have a new branch in Spanish Lookout where we can meet the needs of all the customers in that area.
Yeah. All right.
Apart from those 2 branches, we also have a network of dealers. I think it's about 20.
Wow.
You know, so whether you're in the Keys, you're in Punta Gorda, you're in Corozal, you're in the back in the Indian Creek somewhere out there.
In Orange Walk area?
Yeah. You know, you will find a Fabregas agent.
Near to you.
Yes.
All right.
Right.
So there we go. Justin and Glenport, thank you so very much. Now we know more about Fabregas. We know where to find you, and we know what you do. Thank you guys. And do enjoy your day.
Thanks for having us.
We're about to take a break. When we come back, we'll be chit-chatting about our front labeling campaign. You guys need to stick around and find out what that is. We'll do that when we come back.
As strong as our families, businesses, institutions, and the communities that surround us. Then by giving businesses the power to grow, entrepreneurs the ability to expand, and by giving our families the right to own something. The Belize Bank gives you the power to build a nation, our nation. Stronger together. The Belize Bank. Our country. Your bank.
It's a fact that you can access unlimited services with Smart. Tired of being measured or cut off when you need to be connected? It's a fact that when you sign up for Smart's Plus plan, you get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data. And it's a fact that you can sign up with your group of up to 5 members for Smart's Share plans and up to 40 members for Smart's Enterprise plans for unlimited talk, text, and data. Smart has the true unlimited plans. That's a fact. Be smart and live smart.
"2020 taught us the importance of being connected to the virtual world, and NextGen is here to keep its commitment to you. Even if you're physically apart, NextGen keeps you digitally connected."
Okay everyone, thank you for following me today.
NextGen provides more than just an internet plan. They provide service plans that support all your online needs. Sign up today and get your NextGen's ultra high-speed internet service. NextGen, powered by Central TV and Internet.
And we'll be back in a few, so stay tuned. Thanks, Jen. Hey there, we know you have to head out to work shortly, but don't forget that you can stay tuned by watching us on our Facebook live stream. Find us at Open Your Eyes BC, and you can continue watching there. You can also download Facebook Watch on your streaming device, and you can watch at your own convenience.
And for all the behind-the-scenes fun, follow us on Instagram at OYE Belize. So,
find us
and follow us
today.
When someone you love becomes a memory, the memory becomes a treasure. Channel 5 introduces the daily obituaries. The daily obituaries will broadcast all death and funeral announcements and memorials to honor your loved one's life and memories. The daily obituaries airs on Channel 5 prior to the evening newscast, with subsequent repeats at 10 p.m. and 12 noon the following day. It will also be placed online on our social media platforms, all for a standard package fee. Celebrate their lives and memories with Channel 5's daily obituaries. Honor in life and reverence in death.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes, and we're now moving into our final segment for the morning. And today is actually World Health Day, and that's exactly where our conversation will be surrounding. In to talk to us, we've got Dr. Jorge Polanco. He is the public health consultant, and also Robin Daly, nutritionist of the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Guys, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. Well, it's great to see both of you again and to be able to talk about this very critical topic. We have been speaking so much about COVID and about the pandemic that we mustn't lose sight of the other great threats that we have to our health. So let's start with that before we move into the perspective of front label packaging. When it comes to non-communicable diseases, the diabetes, the hypertension, the cardiovascular diseases, the obesity, how bad are we and how worrisome is the situation? Dr. Polanco?
Yeah, indeed it is a very serious public health concern, these topics that you made reference to, and that is the bottom line why we will be speaking of this front of package labeling this morning. Mm-hmm. Diabetes, hypertension have been leading causes for hospitalization over the last 30 years here in Belize, and it continues. We have obesity now that has been added on, leading to some chronic problems, and then we recognize it has to do with a poor nutrition.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that is what gave rise to this topic. It's a global topic, but the Americas has been pushing it over the recent years to look at the labeling of the food with the sole objective of informing consumers as to what is healthy and what is unhealthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And speaking of the pandemic, and I'd like to go to Robin with this one. You know, it was only so much that families could afford, and more so, the first thought in mind is not to get food that will eventually spoil tomorrow or put it in the fridge for a little while. It was food that must be preserved for a long time. I can remember at the start of it, people flocked to the stores because they didn't know what to do. We didn't know what to have in the household. What are your thoughts on this? And with respect to health and safety, how does this affect us?
You brought up a couple interesting points. Looking at food security is one, having people have access to healthy food, looking at ways to get food that will help to minimize the prevalence of diseases such as diabetes, obesity, hypertension, etc. We have always been advocating for healthy eating, but I think looking at going through this pandemic, it has become a challenge for most people because in some cases people just want food. People just have a need for food and they ignore the nutrition component, which again can put people at risk for having a higher prevalence of diseases or poor management of disease. So it makes our work actually here at the ministry and us health professionals advocating a little bit harder, because if you are in a family and you've lost your job or the breadwinner of the home doesn't have a job, it's hard to focus on nutrition and healthy eating when you just need to have a need for food. So I think this is a very good time since it's World Health Day, and also it gives us an opportunity to focus on prevention of disease and also better management. So we also have a way to look at what are the foods that we're eating? How can we make better decisions with the little that we have? What are some small steps we can do to make sure and ensure the family is eating better and we're putting ourselves in a position where we're not we're not actually causing more illness, but we're preventing illness from occurring.
In the Caribbean especially, and moving into the conversation about food labeling, the bigger concern is, while we can always talk to adults about changing their diets, it's about the children. We know that, I think, you guys can correct me, isn't it 1 in every 3 Caribbean children that they're either overweight or obese?
Yes.
Yeah. So they're starting off already facing what is considered now a lifestyle disease. And then you look at our adult population where 2/3 are either overweight or obese.
That is correct, yeah. And it's true for the Caribbean and Central America, so for the entire sub-region.
Yeah. So it means we have to make healthier choices as early as possible.
Yeah, that's a challenge, and that's one of the underlying objectives of this campaign, to really inform the public as to the rationale of the messages that they will be seeing, of the symbols that is expected to be on the products. Maybe, Marlene, if you agree, let me just share in a few seconds the background to all these campaigns, as general information.
Yeah, well, I wanted to get to that because we have already signed on. We've already signed on to agreeing to implement front label packaging, and this is a regional movement.
Yes, yes, it is a sub-regional initiative.
Yeah.
And right now, the policy level, or at the level of the heads of states and the ministers of health, in this case, are currently discussing it. It is something that have been in discussion for the past 5 years at the level of PAHO, WHO. But right now, over the last 3 years, it has gained momentum, and currently, it's on the desk of the ministers of health and of the ministers of human development and social services. And it should also form part of the agenda of the ministers of trade at the CARICOM level. So that is where it is right now.
Yeah, yeah. And Robin, when you talk about, the food that children will naturally gravitate to, any part of the world, but of course here in Belize we know that it's going to be the ones that probably are packed with all the things that you don't want them to be packed with. Sugar, salt.
Fats.
Yeah.
So we try to, we're actually working together with the Healthy Caribbean Coalition branch in Belize to launch some campaigns, and the campaigns that we're going to launch is going to influence children. We want them to be child friendly, and also working along with the Ministry of Education. So as schools open, I think before last year, we were in the process of looking to initiate and discuss how we can have a sugar ban in schools. It's not finalized. It was just a discussion that had started, and we were looking at having more education and actually more intervention in schools where children are more exposed to unhealthy food. So we're hoping that once these get launched, it can collaborate and also help to push this front of package labeling and also healthy foods.
Yeah. I think that's a great initiative. But I'll tell you one of the things that's plaguing households at this point. Parents are at home. The children are at home. The parents are at home working, but they need the children to eventually lessen when it comes to noise. So they're given a tablet and they're given comfort foods to not make noise. So what can we do within the households to at least try to get this lesson rather than to have these things as comfort foods?
We need to educate. We have to come up with innovative ways to educate parents and to make it more fun for children as well, because it's a tough time for everyone, and ideally you would resort to comfort foods and also rewarding children with junk foods. For them to be still or to do their chores or whatever it may be. But we have to continue our campaign and to inform parents, inform all our stakeholders that these comfort foods, these junk foods, these unhealthy foods are really doing more harm than good, especially if physical activity is not included. And this can only be done with proper education and having creative campaigns. There are many campaigns that we can do, having healthy snacks, having children prepare healthy snacks, have healthy foods in the household, and it doesn't have to be expensive either. So these are some of the ways, but it won't happen as a one time, because we've been trying for a while to get these foods out of schools and trying to educate principals and having them on board in terms of having healthier options in schools. And the same things have to be in the home, because sometimes we as adults, we enjoy these foods as well. But when we're looking at the long-term effects, looking at the high levels of obesity in children, the high levels of NCDs that are rising right now, we have to look at how can we prevent this and look at it as a collaboration with all of our stakeholders.
You know, it's so difficult, especially even if a parent is trying to be health conscious. I know, Robin, we've had many conversations about this where people just say healthier on their packaging, or this is healthy and that is healthy. And when you really look at the ingredients list, you realize it's not so healthy after all. Is this, what's the research saying about these particular labels being placed specifically on the front of packages? Do we know if it's going to be helpful, if it dissuades parents from buying these things for their children?
There has been many research that has been done since the front of package labeling has been introduced. I know research has been done as recent in the Caribbean island of Jamaica. We also have research been done in South America, Chile, Peru, also our neighboring country, Mexico. So we've seen that this octagon-shaped label has been labeled as the most effective way to get messages across and to have a positive impact in healthier eating. Of course, over time, we will see these over a couple of years, the actual big effects. But so far, the research has shown with countries that have implemented it as legislation already, that it has made an impact and persons are choosing healthier options. They're choosing less sugary foods. They're actually eating healthier.
You know, I'm sure it's difficult to be able to change just the cultural patterns, the traditional patterns of what children should eat. You think children and snack, and you think junk food. And this is kind of the change that has to happen. Where are we in being able to move forward with the type of policies and legislation? Because when you talk about the research saying this works, it should be an easier sell. just as we know sugar tax works in other parts of the world in declining the consumption of sugar-sweetened beverages. Yeah. Where are we in being able to take a proactive approach on NCDs?
In regards to the front of package labeling, we are going to be pretty close to having it implemented, just due to the fact that our foods that we import are developing legislation for it. So we, almost by default, we will, these labels are already in stores in Belize, by the way. So it's already in the market, and with CARICOM doing their final voting process, we're gonna see also this being legislation for the Caribbean. And those are our neighboring countries where we do our food trade. So we will have these labels in stores, and we will have them in the market. So our best advantage is to join on. There is enough evidence to support its effective use, and also educating our public on, it's a good time also to educate on nutrition, because if you're shopping and you see these labels, it will create some questions. You might want to look closer to see what it's saying, what it means, and our campaign is going to be in line with promoting healthy eating. So you're going to see it in the stores, and with the campaign, we're hoping that we are going to be right on board with the rest of our neighboring countries in terms of advocating for this and seeing the effects in future years.
And so looking at being able to convince people to make healthier choices, I'm sure you're both aware of what the first concern is. Healthier food is going to cost more money. How do you respond to that?
Doctor, you want to jump in on this one?
Well, you know, that is something that you would always hear. But when you think on it, the nutritionists are very good in educating and informing and in displaying recipes where you can prepare food, healthy food. You can prepare it at home, and when you look at the cost, it's indeed not greater than what is being informally shared, that it is expensive. So that is a challenge. There will be a need to really educate and inform us of how to prepare healthy snacks. Along with the Ministry of Health, a menu was developed, a school feeding program menu was developed about 3 years ago, whereby using food that is available in Belize, the cooks can prepare healthy food, and it really did not increase the budget of the Ministry of Education. And this is true for the general population. The consideration is this: investing in healthy food will have its impact at a very short term, because children would remain healthy. Young people will remain healthy. Persons who already have maybe diabetes or hypertension or some other nutritional related a disease, complying with their medications and their diet, the risk of them having complications will be much low. And by that I mean the risk of getting blind or amputating a limb is lower. So there is a cost in investing, but it's not really what is perceived out there. Marlene, just to add to what Robin said in regards to your previous questions as to the policy status, this campaign comes as part, or one of the objectives is to promote what is being discussed at the policy level right now. Currently at CARICOM, all the countries are discussing the topic. Some have already expressed their positions. Belize has not expressed its position as yet. And this campaign, one of the objectives is to really educate the entire population for them to know what's the rationale of this campaign, what it means, what's the underlying objectives, which in a nutshell, it is simply to inform consumers. So once the countries of CARICOM approve it, and it is expected that once 75% of the countries approve it, Then the initiative will be presented to the Ministers of Economy and Trade of CARICOM. Then they will review it also, and then they will have a final say. So it is not expected that all countries approve it, but at least 75%. So then what this means is that once the Ministers of Economy and Trade or Investment approve it, then the countries will begin to work on bills and laws that will ensure that the manufacturers put those labels in front of the package. In the case of Belize, we import a lot of our food products, but the exporting countries like the Caribbean, Mexico, Central America, they will be complying. So those labels
will automatically benefit.
Will be coming into Belize. So that our main function as of now is to be informing the public as to what that means. So when they go to the supermarket and they pick up a product, they would know exactly what those symbols mean.
Yeah. And tell us, Doc, because especially since the focus has been, we talk about NCDs in general, but when we talk about children and when they have this predisposition for obesity or being overweight or eating unhealthy foods in excess, what happens as they grow? Why do we need to start with them in childhood?
Okay, yeah, very, very important question. There is a research that shows that once a child reaches the age of 5, as an obese child, the likelihood of him or her developing chronic diseases as a young adult is very high. And these have been the results of studies of cohorts that have been done in Europe and in South America. So it's not that we are saying, okay, you are obese now and it's okay when you are adult, it will be fine. No, the likelihood of having diabetes is much higher. So then the challenge that we have as a country is to really educate the children. When you brought up the issue of the children having access to unhealthy food at homes as a comfort, that's one of the realities that needs to be addressed. The parents need to be informed, and then the parents need to take decisions. The other, I would say, good thing about it is that children learn very, very quick.
That's true.
You tell them once, and if they get the message, believe me, they will retain that message. So that is the reason why, along with the Ministry of Health, PAO has been working with the Ministry of Education to strengthen the nutrition curriculum within the primary schools. And the objective is for the teachers to be able to teach the children what is healthy food and for them to be able to recognize what is unhealthy. So if we get it at this stage, those children should learn, and it is expected for them to follow the advice of their teachers. They will follow healthy behaviors in regards to what they consume. On the long run, they will become healthy adolescents, and believe me, by then it would be a culture already, and they would be able to know what's unhealthy, what could be eaten, what should not be eaten.
Those are skills for life. You know, Doc, as you said that children learn and adjust easily, I can't help but think a year ago, we thought children would never wear masks. I don't know what your experience is, but now they are part of the mask police.
Yes.
You know, they remind you to put it on, they'll put it on because they adapt once they learn and understand. So it is a lesson.
That is true.
It is a lesson indeed. The same with washing hands. So they are indeed sponges. But I'll tell you what, Doc. Sure, go ahead.
My granddaughter is 7 years old. If she comes to my house, she asks, before I hug her, she will say, in Spanish, right? Have you washed your hands? Or if I go to her house, I cannot go close to her unless I wash my hands properly. And she is serious. So that's just an example of how they learn what they are taught. And the same thing applies for food. There has been research at the level of Central America whereby children take home the messages that they learn in school in regards to what is healthy food. And it is these experiences that have provided a positive feedback to continue strengthening the nutrition curriculum, because they have done surveys whereby they see children go back home with this information.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So in wrapping up, guys, and Robin, when we go to the stores, especially as parents, what should we look for so we could keep a healthy lifestyle and a balanced diet within the household?
You want to look at food products that have the octagon shape. If you see a food product having an octagon shape, and it's normally in the far right hand corner of the food product, once you see many, you already know that's an unhealthy food. But once you see one, it's indicating that that food is either high in fat, it's either high in sodium, or it's either high in sugar. And many times, this front of package labeling has also put a block on having like cartoon characters and things like that on the snacks, which would attract children.
Yeah.
So looking at extra the shapes, the octagon shapes, those are the ones that you want to look out for. And if you see 3, 4, 2, you already know that that food is high in either sugar, fat, or if you're seeing more, it might be high in all. It might be high in fat, sugar, and salt.
Yeah.
And you already know that that's a food that's unhealthy for you. And research has shown that many times this new label allows consumers to pick up items quickly and make a decision fast. And the old method, you would have to turn to the back. You'd have to look at zoom down. So now once you look at the front and you see these labels at the top, you already know this is an unhealthy food. And as the image is showing that you're showing there's actually 6 that you could actually see. So if you're seeing 1, it's already not a good option. And if you're seeing 3, 4, you already know that is definitely not an option for you to pick up, because it's very unhealthy. It has in these ingredients that would be able to put you at risk for health diseases.
So today there's going to be a webinar to help people understand more. Give us the details on that.
Well, the webinar will be, I think it's 9. I'm not sure the Eastern Standard Time. I think it's 9 for us here in Belize. It's 9 to 10:30, so it's an hour and a half, and it's really sponsored by the Healthy Caribbean Coalition in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization and also UNICEF. And just to add also, the president for the Healthy Caribbean Coalition here in Belize, we will be supporting them, all of our stakeholders, in launching this campaign. So you'll be seeing many ads, you'll see posters, you'll be seeing many campaigns, social media, that will be and it will be adapted to our Belizean culture as well, for us to be sharing and joining the Caribbean community in launching this campaign to encourage healthier food options and creating an awareness for these labels that will be shown on these food products. So the webinar will be an awareness webinar to show the need for this initiative to be within the Caribbean, because like we mentioned, it's in Mexico already, and it's in many parts of South America, like Chile and Peru. They have already had it for years. And now we want to make sure that it's in the Caribbean, knowing that our population is facing serious challenges with NCDs, including our children. We want to be able to jump on board and join the campaign, and also advocate for this initiative to be within our Caribbean community.
All right. And Doc, final words are yours. What's your advice to parents and to the public on a whole?
Yeah, I think it's extremely necessary to have this campaign to inform the public, because the products will or have already started trickling into the supermarkets, into the shelves. And then if the initiative is approved during the course of this year at the level of CARICOM and Central America, then more products will be coming with these icons, with these symbols. And then it is necessary for the public to know what that means. There has been research also that a person would take between 6 and 11 seconds to look at an item and to decide if he or she will buy that item, if whether for X reason. So within that period, 6 to 11 seconds, it is necessary for them to know then if that food is healthy or unhealthy.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why the symbol, the octagon, has to be very clear, and it has to be in front. And there's something else to complement what Robin said. All the icons, the octagons, if it has more than one, they should be side by side.
Yeah.
So it's not that the one icon will be put on the upper right and the other one on the upper left and the other one to the lateral. No, all of them have to be side by side. In that way, the consumer will know this food is healthy, or this, if it has no icons, it is healthy. Yeah. If it has one or more, well, the more it has, the more unhealthy it is. So immediately, the consumer will say, I will buy or I will not buy.
Okay.
Fantastic. And then
just as a final thing, the impact that I foresee on a short term is that the public of Belize would be informed, would make healthier, because this campaign has to continue throughout the year.
Yeah.
As to what is healthy food. And then the expectation is that people will, on the medium term, there will be a decrease of those risk factors that are the result of unhealthy food. And on the long term, there should be a decrease in these chronic diseases. But of course, the challenge is to break that culture, that behavioral pattern that Belize has had or has in regards to the consumption of unhealthy food.
Right.
All right.
All right. And we should start to do that now. Start to live a healthy lifestyle. Dr. Jorge Polanco, Robin Daly, thank you guys so very much for joining us this morning, and do enjoy your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
All right. We're about to take our final break for the morning. When we come back, we will be wrapping things up. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
In these challenging times, the one thing that is certain is that the Belize Bank Limited is here for you. There is nothing more important than your health and safety, and we continue to make every effort to make banking safer for you. Our staff is working around the clock to make sure you can do your banking conveniently 24/7 using our mobile banking app and online banking, and keeping ATMs up and running. We value your relationship with us and are here to provide the support you need. First responders are also out there 24/7. Thank you, healthcare workers, security forces, firefighters, caregivers. You are all appreciated. Stay safe. We will get through this together. The Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
Passengers traveling to the U.S. must present a negative COVID test or a documentation of having recovered from COVID-19 to travel to the U.S. In light of this, Maya, in partnership with Caring Hands Clinic, have established testing centers in all their municipal airports. Caring Hands Antigen Test Center is operational in San Pedro, Belize City, Dangriga, Placencia, and Hopkins. These testing facilities are staffed by licensed healthcare professionals, including doctors, registered nurses, and nurse practitioners. Testing is done using Abbott rapid test devices that are FDA approved and made in the USA. The service is safe, fast, affordable, and the close proximity of the centers makes them convenient. Walk-ins are welcomed, but appointments are encouraged. If you would like to make an appointment, please feel free to do so at Make your appointment, get tested, and in 15 minutes, you can get back to your vacation.
Hello. Okay, sure, I'll be there.
Hi, Mommy. When are you coming home? I really miss you.
Hearing the voice of our loved ones can always lift our spirits and make us feel whole again. With Smart's twice as nice promotion, prepaid customers who make 5 minutes worth of national calls on Sundays can enjoy 50% off, top double on all national calls for the rest of the day. Call your loved ones and enjoy half off all day long. Smart, bringing people together.
And welcome back. Just like that, our show has come to an end, and you could join us again tomorrow when we provide to you 3 or more topics on current situations going on across our country. I had a great time, and it was so nice to be back following the Easter break.
Yeah.
It was excellent. We advise for you to continue to adhere to all the protocols and all the rules with respect to COVID-19 so we could keep each other safe. If you've got any questions, any concerns, you could always drop us a line at oye@channel5belize.com.
You can also find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at
OYE Belize. And you can join us again tomorrow when you open your eyes
to start your morning right. Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open. We'll see you soon. Continue to enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank.